And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Well, the weekend starts off with a lot of IFR here into the Bering Sea, spreading into the Yukon Delta coast. IFR here for the Aleutians. VFR in the interior with some IFR here over the Gulf of Alaska and into the inside waters of the southeast coast in the form of low clouds and fog there. And then for the afternoon, that burns off to VFR for the southeast coast with marginal VFR right along the coastline all the way up, covering Prince William Sound. And IFR here in the Gulf of Alaska, VFR in the interior all the way up to the Arctic Ocean, and IFR still entrenched over the Bering Sea, right along the southwest coast here, up into Norton Sound and the Bering Strait, and most of the Aleutians. And then for Sunday morning, IFR, western Arctic coast, all the way south here to the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, right across the Pribilofs, Yukon Delta, and up into the southwest mountains there with IFR now for Kodiak Island, up into Cook Inlet, southern Kenai Peninsula, and up toward Valdez, and another area of IFR here over the central and western Aleutians, and IFR again along the southeast coast on up to about Yakutat, with some of that working into the inside channels. And for the afternoon, that burns back, but now we got IFR hanging right along the coastline there for the Panhandle, on up into the North Gulf Coast, down across southern Resurrection Bay and the Barren Islands there, actually Fogneck Island as well, up into Kamishak Bay and Bristol Bay, Alaska Peninsula, IFR, and that extends northward here all the way up to the western Arctic coast, especially along the southern slopes of the western Brooks Range. A little bit of a break right through here to the eastern Aleutians and more IFR out to the west. And for the passes for tomorrow, and Etobicoke, looking really nice there. VFR and either approach for both passes. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR for rainy, windy, starting out VFR with lowering conditions, especially on the southern entrance throughout the day. And for Isabel, VFR, Mintesta, VFR, Tanita, VFR. And for Portage, marginal VFR, trending down toward IFR, especially on the eastern entrance for the afternoon Saturday. And for Chilkoot and White, another VFR day coming up. Freezing levels, 2,000 feet over the eastern Boulevard Sea coast, sloping all the way up to 12,000 feet here over the Gulf of Alaska, and still pretty high there for the southeast coast, around 12,000 feet, 6,000 to 8,000 feet over the Bering Sea into the central Aleutians. And for icing, with that moisture, all the moisture coming in with that next system, we've got considerable moderate icing possible here. Right along the Yukon Delta area, on up and across Norton Sound to Kotzebue Sound there, into the Kobuk Valley and all of the Seward Peninsula, and then some possible isolated moderate rime icing here, Kenai Peninsula up into the western Copper River Basin area. And then for the jet stream, we've got pretty good low pressure out here over the Bering Sea westerlies. The jet core here just south of the Aleutians, they're up to 110 knots, and then good southwest flow in across the interior here, anywhere from 65 to 85 knots, but light, still under high pressure for the southeast coast. And 9,000 feet, good south-southwest winds, 45 knots there up toward the Yukon River, then much lighter from the north slope, but increasing up to 55 or 50 to 60 knots here from the southwest interior down across the Alaska Peninsula, then back around to the north at 50 knots here over the central Bering Sea. 3,000-foot winds with this storm here. It's north 55 knots on the west side of that system, turning westerly here at 50 knots across the eastern Aleutians. South to north winds, Bristol Bay working in toward Kodiak Island at 40 to 45 knots. Pretty light over the east side of the state, down into the Gulf and the Panhandle. Turbulence-wise, with those stronger winds, we've got considerable moderate turbulence expected here over the southwest interior, down to the Alaska Peninsula, all the way out to the west there toward Kiska Island.